Okay, so just rounding everything out. Oh, well, you guys might not see this in the same order that I'm talking about this in, but anyway, I'm going to draw out the blood vessels for the abdomen, pelvis, and the lower limbs. Mostly meaning getting you guys to visually understand the location of some of the veins and the arteries, okay? In all likelihood, I'm going to make veins and arteries run parallel to each other. If you're asked to do this on the test, you either need to have different colors or you need to make separate drawings, okay? Don't make my life worse. So we're gonna see that I'm gonna just draw a little tiny heart. Okay, right? Coming off of the left ventricle, we're gonna have the aorta. We're gonna have the thoracic aorta. We're gonna look at the thoracic aorta later. Coming through the diaphragm, what we're going to see is we have the abdominal aorta. So the abdominal aorta is going to come all the way down, and then at about the L4 level, it branches. It's going to branch like that. I'm going to make my branches a little bit bigger. Wow. Symmetry is not my forte, obviously. Okay, this is my abdominal aorta. You should understand how the blood vessels come off of the abdominal aorta. It's actually pretty straightforward and pretty easy once you like look at it and draw it out. The very first branch that you should know that comes off of the abdominal aorta is celiac trunk. Celiac trunk supplies to all the foregut structures, meaning to the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, the duodenum, all that stuff. Okay, so celiac trunk is going to come over here to foregut. That's what this blood vessel is right there. And then you can see there's one branch that way, that was one branch this way, and then there's one branch this way. So celiac trunk also has hepatic, which goes towards the liver, splenic, which goes to the spleen, and then lastly, it has gastric. In particular, it's left gastric, but we're going to say gastric, which goes to the stomach. The very next artery that's going to come off is, again, it's an unpaired artery. So unpaired meaning it doesn't have a right or left. Celiac trunk doesn't have a right or left. This is an unpaired artery. It's going to come all the way over here. And I should have made it a little bit better. It's going to come all the way over like that. Let me just erase this here. It's going to meet up with this blood vessel you see that's going like this, which is branching towards the small intestine, the ascending colon, and then the transverse colon. This is inferior mesenteric. Sorry, it's been a long day of video making. This is superior mesenteric. Superior mesenteric artery, okay? Supplying to our midgut structures. So again, it's an unpaired artery. Then the next are going to be paired. So we have a right and left adrenal, which are going to go to the adrenal glands. And then we'll have a nice, really big, thick renal, which is going to go to the kidneys. Right underneath that, we're going to have gonadal. If it's coming out straight, it's going to ovaries. If it's coming out longer, it's going towards the testes. And then I usually do another pair down here towards the, actually, sorry. Then we're going to have another unpaired artery. And you see that unpaired artery is going to come this way towards descending colon, sigmoid colon. This is inferior mesenteric because it's going to hindgut. Oh, lost my train of thought. Inferior mesenteric. Inferior mesenteric. Okay. Let me just erase that right there. And then I usually draw another set of paired arteries here, which are lumbar. This is the fourth pair of lumbar. There's actually 5 pairs. And they are going to supply to like the muscles and some of the other structures that are located on the dorsal surface or the back part of the abdomen. The very last branch is median sacral. It's actually a continuation of the abdominal aorta. And then when you branch right and left, this becomes common iliac. Okay, we'll look at common iliac again. Common iliac is then also going to have 2 branches. One goes internal, one goes external. And this is external iliac, which is going to go towards the leg. And then we have internal iliac, which is going to actually supply to our pelvis region. Okay, so those are the arteries. Now, when we do our vein system, there's actually 2 systems in the abdomen that drain the abdomen, 2 vein systems. One of those vein systems is basically going to kind of branch a little bit, sort of like this, and then come like that. We'll just do one side. Okay, this is inferior vena cava. I was going to abbreviate, but that just means you guys abbreviate too. Write it out. Okay, that's inferior vena cava. Hold on. Let me write this out very, very, very clearly. This is abdominal aorta. See how I have different colors, so I know that's what I'm pointing to. Or I'll go like that. I don't know. Okay. You want to kind of understand and remember that blood's flowing in this direction is coming from the abdominal aorta, and then all these branches supply from the abdominal aorta. This is inferior vena cava. Okay. Inferior vena cava, what we're going to see is there is basically a vein for almost every single one of these veins if they're paired. Okay, so we have 5 sets of lumbar. Actually, lumbar is really weird, but we're going to go with it, okay? You're going to have like a lumbar vein, you have gonadal veins, you have a renal vein. Actually, the renal vein is like super big, usually covers the entire renal artery right there. So there's our renal vein. We should have adrenal, so we'll have one adrenal coming off like that. And then at the very, very top of inferior vena cava, we have hepatic veins. Okay. On the left side, what happens is gonadal actually drains into renal, and adrenal also drains into renal, like that. So you see how over here on the right side, I have adrenal. And on the left side, I also have adrenal, but on the left side, we have adrenal vein and gonadal vein that actually drain into the renal vein on the left side. This is a nice like kind of difference there. Okay. This is why if you were asked to draw one on top of the other one, you'd have to have some different colors so that you can see how the veins are going to drain a little bit differently. So the drainage of the abdomen is slightly different too, because you have a hepatic portal system, right? So over here, you have inferior vena cava coming out back behind the liver right there. And this is why we have these sets of veins from the liver that are called the hepatic veins. But the way that the hepatic portal vein is set up is that you're going from a capillary system that is basically draining the gut tube to a set of capillaries that will be in the liver that help drain the liver too, and then drain that all into inferior vena cava. So what it ends up looking like is if you just draw a really simplistic diagram here, you have one line. This is hepatic portal vein. Let me not abbreviate because you guys kill me with this abbreviation stuff. This is actually going to be superior mesenteric vein. Okay. And then basically between them is splenic vein. The splenic vein goes towards the spleen. You're just going to see that in the human, we're going to have something that branches off of the splenic vein and comes all the way down. This is inferior mesenteric vein, basically. Okay, so blood's going in that direction, blood's going in that direction, blood goes in that direction, and then into that direction. So what this is going to look like is we'll have a splenic vein running parallel to our splenic artery right there. At the base of the liver, we're going to have a really, really big vein where splenic vein drains into. Okay. This big vein continues on and goes down towards our midgut structures, towards our small intestine right there. And then basically kind of running parallel to our artery, our inferior mesenteric artery right here, what we're going to see is we're going to have inferior mesenteric vein that actually comes up and drains inside of splenic vein like that. So here we have inferior mesenteric vein. Here we have splenic vein. Here we have superior mesenteric vein. And here is hepatic portal vein. This is why I tell you guys, right? This is the cutoff. Everything above splenic is hepatic portal. Everything below splenic is superior mesenteric vein. The splenic vein is the boundary. If you don't know that, then basically you won't understand where hepatic portal vein ends and superior mesenteric vein ends, because it is continuous. It's a blood vessel that's continuous. Okay. You see that right there. There's my boundary between those two. Okay. Perfect. All right. Let me do the pelvis and the leg in one more video.